The last 3 days I was at a men's retreat with 5 other of our men out at Kelly's Island on Camp Patmos. And in one of the messages I did out there, I talked about one of the top 5 guys when I was a teenager that influenced my life. And he was the custodian director at the Bible camp where we worked, a camp where Deb and I met each other and where we worked when we were teenagers. The first year I went up there, I was just out of the 8th grade. And I did not know Sherwood Loops until then. I had seen him at camp before, but I didn't really know him. And I will tell you this, just the sight of this man put the fear of God in your heart. He was legitimately scary looking. He was big. He looked like Mr. Clean. He was no hair at all, big grooves in his face, jowls that would shake when he talked, barrel of a chest. But I'll tell you the thing about Sherwood Loops that everyone remembers that ever saw him, the size of his hands. They were like bear paws. And Sherwood was a worker. This man worked day and night, and he knew everything about that campground. Now, when I'm just an 8th grader, I'm going up there to work on the staff, I look at this man, and I'm literally scared to death of this man. He had a voice. His voice was the kind of voice you would develop if you ate middle schoolers for breakfast. This is what it would do to your voice. I was scared to death of this man. Now, one night I was assigned to sweep the kitchen at the end of the night, and I swept the kitchen the way I typically would clean things when I was in 8th grade. Just kind of sweep out the middle places where people look, sweep it under the stove, sweep things under the refrigerator, just kind of clear it out like that. About 5-minute job, hang up the broom, and go to bed that night. The next morning I'm coming to breakfast. I'm walking down to breakfast, and on my shoulder, I didn't even see it coming, I look down and I see that bear paw. And I really think life is over. My life of 12 years like flashes in between, before my eyes. It was just, I was scared to death. And with that growly voice, he said, "Are you responsible for sweeping the floor in the kitchen?" And I was. What could I say? Yeah. My name was right there on the list. Yeah, that was me. And he said something that was stuck with me all my life. I remember him saying in that growly voice, "That's not your floor. That's not my floor. That's God's floor. And you don't sweep it for you. You don't sweep it for me. You sweep it for God." And I'm thinking, yeah, and I may meet God soon. I was scared to death of him. Real fear. Well, over time, as I worked there for the next, every summer until I was into college, every summer I would work at camp. I grew to know the real Sherwood Loops and found there was not a mean bone in his body, and found that this man deeply loved all of the young people that would go up there and work on this staff, and he truly became a mentor to me. So I would tell you 5 years later, 5 summers later, at the end of that summer, if you were to ask me about the 3 to 5 most significant people in my life, Sherwood Loops would make that list. Now here's the point I want to make in that. My first experience with him was one of fear because I thought he might hurt me. Over time, I had another fear, and that is the fear I might disappoint him. That's the fear I might hurt him. I also came to find out that if whoever was to clean the kitchen didn't do it, he would do it. And if he had to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning, he would stay up till 2 and 3 in the morning and get up at 5 in the morning because he would make sure everything was done before he went to bed. And so I came to find out that if I didn't do something the way it should be done, I'm going to hurt the one I love. That's how the fear of the Lord works. It begins with a terror, a fear of the Almighty God. He is absolutely holy. And I tell you today, people lack that kind of fear of God. But it doesn't stay there. That as you grow to know this God, there's a fear as you grow, but it's not a fear of being hurt. It's a fear of hurting Him. It's a fear of disappointing God. I want to please God. I want to honor God. That's how this fear of the Lord works. The fear of the Lord that begins with terror is a fear that ends up being reverential worship and love.